Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to do static text. Now this is a text element that stays on the screen all the time. So what we do is we use the text system to create some text and generate sprites automatically for us. Okay, so we would need to do this at a point where we want initially the text to appear. So for my game, when the game starts up, I want to put the level name or something like that on the screen. It's not going to change, which is why I call it static text. So I've gone to the constructor for game map. You will pick an appropriate place for you. Okay. So actually, I think what I'll do is I'll go into the tile map. Okay, so I'm in my tile map. So you can see from my game start I create a map. So I'm actually going to go into my map, and in its constructor, that's where I'm going to set the level name to be displayed. Okay, so I'm going to create a method to do this so that it just keeps it nice and separate. So generate level name text, I'm going to call it. Obviously, I'm just doing that so that I keep it separate from the other code. Okay, so to create the text, the simplistic way of doing it is to go gm dot, and it's the text manager that's responsible for this, so text m, and I say draw as sprites. Okay, and I'll show you the basics and I'll show you a little bit more. So there are two methods for doing this. We pick a font, put the text, put the X and Y location on the screen, what attributes we want, a Z position, which is your depth, so draw order, and any additional sprite attributes. That's a complicated thing, and I'll maybe do another video on that. But the main ones are these. So let's pick a font sprite. So we go font sprite. So these aren't normal fonts that are on the computer. These are inbuilt ones. So font sprite, not font sprite, font bank. So if I go font bank and I say, and then I pick from these, and these are the only ones that are available. You can create your own fonts, and I can tell you how to do that if you're really interested. So I'm going to pick one, and I'm going to go for the magic font. Okay, and then I'm going to put my next parameter, which is the text I want. So this is Dungeon of Doom. That's the name of my level. Right, this is going to get quite long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put each parameter on a separate line. Okay, so every time I put my next parameter in, and if it stops showing you the one that you want, just click on the little black arrows to show. So this is what I want. So I want the X position next. So I'm going to put that on the next line. So I want this at I don't know. I'm gonna center this. So I'm gonna put this down near the bottom. I want to center bottom it, and I'll show you that how to do that in a minute. So I'm going to put this down near the bottom of the screen. So, and I want it in the center. So I'm going to use my center information, which is screen size dot center dot x. That gives me the center of the screen. I'm going to put the Y information with this. So I'm going to say gm dot screen size, and I want it at the bottom of the screen. So I'm going to say bottom. Okay, and then I need to set some text attributes. So I'm going to use there are some basic default text attributes. So you go text at, and then you can pick. So the default attributes are white text and then an alignment. So I want the X and Y position to represent the bottom of the text. So I'm going to pick bottom as my alignment. So that'll sit it with its bottom at this Y value that I set here. Now I want it up a little bit from the bottom of the screen, so I'm going to subtract 10 pixels. So I'm going to move at the bottom but up by 10. Right, my next parameter is the Z position, so I'm not too fussed about that at the minute, so I'm just going to put 1000 for that. The range you can put in there is minus 5000 to 5000 plus. Okay, and that just lets it draw above or below other sprites that are on the screen. And then the final one is sprite attributes. So this is where you can put sprite behaviors on the text. So you could give all the sprites a velocity so they move, which is good for like making messages appear. You can make them flash. So there's lots of things that you can do with the sprite that you can apply to the text. But I'm going to put null for that, so I don't want any properties. Okay, right, now I've got an error. Oh, I think because I've been really stupid and I've put my attribute and then subtract 10 when actually what I meant was on the Y position subtract 10. Okay, so this will be generated when the map is shown. So let's just see what that looks like. So we've center aligned it to the bottom. So it should be in the middle of the screen. Okay, and the default color for the standard fonts is white. So let's just scroll the map down so we get the black border, and you can see there's Dungeon of Doom. 10 pixels up from the bottom of the screen, and it should stay. By default, text is window based. Okay, but you can change the coordinate system so that it is static text in terms of the world space, but the default is viewport space, because that's normally what you do with text. Right, so the color's rubbish. I want to change the color. Okay, and maybe change the size as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to create our own text attribute. So I'm going to create it here. I'm going to say text at, and I'm going to put a prefix of TA in front of it. So level name is what I'm going to call it. And I'm just going to say new text attribute, and you'll see there's 5 different ways of specifying. So we've got a scale, kerning, which is a gap between letters. If you put positive values, you'll spread the letters apart. If you put negative values in, you'll make them overlap a little bit. So we'll try a little bit of that. So this will just change the color, but it doesn't let me set the alignment. So the default alignment for all text is top left. So that's not the one I want. So let's have a look at the next one. Right, so the next one is the one I want. So the scale, I'm going to leave it the same start. No, I'm going to make it one bigger, 1.5. So that would make it 150%. So 1.5 times as big. Going to set my kerning. I'll leave it at 1, so there's going to be a pixel gap. The color, I'm going to pick, and it's American spelling color. So color dot. Oh, let's go for blue, which is like a real bright blue. And then I'm going to set my alignment. So again, I want my alignment to be bottom. Okay, so that's my own custom text alignment. So instead of saying text at dot bottom, I'm going to change that to TA level name. Okay, so all I've done is I've created my own attribute and I'm using it. And there you go, Dungeon Doom, a little bit bigger. And you can see it does stay fixed in that position. Okay. Right, so now that I've got that a little bit bigger, well, let's put it, I'm going to move it right into the center of the screen because I'm a lunatic. So I'm going to change that from screen size.bottom to screen size.center.y. Run it again just so you can see. And I'm going to change the alignment to centered. Okay, so now, see, you'll see that that's quite annoying because it's always on the screen. So if that's all you wanted to do, you can stop the video there. But if you want to like look at the sprite attributes that I've currently set to null, let's have a little bit of a play around. So I'm going to change the alignment to centered, so it really does truly sit in the center of the screen. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a dummy sprite, which I'm going to call Dumbo, and I'm going to set how I want all these characters to be on the screen. So just to do a bit of interest, I'm going to set a velocity, and I'm going to set a y velocity, and I'm going to set it to -100. I bet it won't let me do that. Oh no, Okay. Sometimes what'll happen is it'll moan and say this is you can't access this property. So you might have to do when you're setting some vector values, you might have to go no minus 100 no. So you've got to manually set a vector. That's the long way of doing it. I have got some short forms, but not many. Okay, so instead of null, I'm going to put Dumbo as my sprite. So what should happen here is each character is a separate sprite, and then they're all going to get that property applied to them. So they'll get a velocity. So they should move up the screen. Okay, and it's continuing to move up, even though it's not being rendered on the screen. So it's probably a good idea to set up a limit box for Dumbo. So we say Dumbo.limit initialize, and then we're going to say Dumbo.limit and viewport action, and we're going to say kill past. So my limit action is kill past. So these are just sprite routines that we're taking apart on. Okay, so we can do that, run it. So this time, when it goes off, actually we're not giving any load to the game engine because it's killed the text. Alright, so what I could do now with this system, I could make it appear at the bottom of the screen. I just want to try something. I can't remember whether I can do this, but let's see if I can mess about with the scale velocity. So the scale velocity equals new vector 2, and let's do 2, 2. So that's in 1 second get 200% bigger. Now I can't remember whether that was part of the attributes that you can copy. I think it might be. So let's just try that. No, that wasn't one of the attributes that you could copy. It's all right. Okay, so for the attributes, you can do lots of things. So I could change the alpha of the text. So I could set it to 0.6, which is 60%. My equal key works, I can. So you can see through it, slightly transparent. And there you go, see slightly transparent. The other thing I can do is I can turn on the flashing subsystem. The timer subsystem, sorry, which is where the flashing is. So I turn on the timers, and what I can do is I can say Dumbo.timer dot kill after or flash after flash after. I think there's a better one than that. There's loads of different flashing ones. Flash. There's a kill after, and you can like show things and things like that. So let's just do flash after, kill after. Okay, so we can leave it solid. So I'm going to leave it solid for 1 second, and I'm going to kill it after 3 seconds, and then I'm going to set the on and off duration. So it'll stay solid for a second, then it'll start flashing, then it'll kill it. So if we say, and flashing always looks better when you're on screen a little bit longer than you're off. So I'm going to do stay on for half a second and then a third of a second to be off. Okay. Right, so I don't need the limit box this time. So I'm just going to comment those two lines because I'm going to kill the, I was using that to kill the sprite, but this timer will kill the sprite as well. So let's have a look at the effect. It's still going to move because I've set a velocity. Now, the velocity is too quick, so I'm just going to slow that down a little bit. And I'm going to put the alpha up a little bit more, so 85%. It's all about tinkering and playing until you get the effect you want. And it's gone. Okay, so you can do all these sort of weird things. There are quite a lot of clever things you could do with this. You could have random velocities if you made multiple sprites and things like that, but you know that's static text for you. So it's static because it can stay there as long as you want until you start. So if I just did null again, so ignore all the Dumbo stuff, and then it'll just sit in the center of the screen permanently. So it is static text. Okay, and in another video, I'm going to show you how to do dynamic text. This is text that's updated, so like health stats and things like that. Things where values are going to change.